Hey everybody, here we are. We made it. I'm joined today by Lloyd Hannison of the Nintendo Pulse podcast, and we've got Josh here from the Nintendo Powercast. I almost said the wrong one. So how are you guys doing today?
Doing very, very well. It's I don't know, the day before E3 and all through the house. No, that's not how it goes. It's pretty exciting. I'm stoked this year for E3. I'm usually pretty excited, but this year I'm really excited. I'm even though we've got that huge leak of what Nintendo's coming out with, I'm still super excited for what they could bring, just because the Switch has just been such an amazing device.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think we've got a lot to talk about today. And for those of you that don't know, this is going to be our E3 predictions, where we're going to be discussing everything that we think of that we think Nintendo might be bringing us. And, you know, maybe, I don't know if these guys are hyped about anything else that's non-Nintendo, but we can certainly discuss that as well. So we kind of had a format that we had talked about where we were each going to bring a prediction, a dream, and a no way that it's going to happen. So before we get into that, why don't we just all take a second and we can say hello to everyone who's here. I've got Josh from Nintendo Powercast. Josh, how's it going, man?
Going great. So glad to be here. Thanks for putting this together.
Of course. And I'm also joined by Lloyd of Nintendo Pulse Podcast. How's it going?
Going really, really well.
And for those of you that don't know, I am Bill, Run Jump Stomp from Nintendo Switchcraft. So we've got a lot to talk about. Let's jump right in before we get to the predictions and the dreams and the no ways. You know, Lloyd, you kind of mentioned this at the very beginning. Leaks. Like, this has been the leakiest of E3s, and we're like... Let's cover some of the stuff that we know is coming already.
Well, my big prediction leading into this E3 was Fortnite coming to the Nintendo Switch. It's going to be amazing. I can't wait. And then it was leaked like 3 weeks ago. It's like, damn. Okay, I have to redo all my prediction lists heading into E3.
Josh, do you play Fortnite?
I was playing last night with my son, actually. Yeah, both. It's actually my oldest son makes more money playing Fortnite in a day than I do working 10 hours at my job. So.
What, does he stream it on Twitch or something?
Yeah, and he plays what they call wagers, to where, you know, it's like, hey, you put $5 in, I put $5 in, whoever wins gets the $5 or $10, you know. But he does it with large dollar amounts, like $50 to $100, and he usually wins. So
nice.
Yeah, he's an animal.
So, what's your favorite leak so far, Josh? Of things that we know are happening, not things that we're 99% sure on.
I'm a huge shooter fan. I always have been since GoldenEye is what got me started as a shooter fan. So, well, we thought this was going to be E3, but then Paladins is like, oh, hey, here's a hero shooter, right?
Right.
Like,
they couldn't wait a day.
So, but then, yeah, Fortnite is something I'm pretty excited to play. I mean, I'm really excited to have it on the Switch, and I mean, I'm stoked. I'm stoked.
Yeah, and Epic Games does, like, they transfer your stuff from PC to PS4, so because it's all tied to your Epic account. And I wish that more companies would do that, because I played Overwatch forever on PC, and then I ended up picking it up for PS4 just because I prefer to use a controller these days, and I didn't get to keep any of my stuff. And that seems to be the norm. And Epic Games is, you know, they're kind of turning that around and doing it a different way and having everything tied to their account system. And I think that's awesome. So I think that we can assume that when it comes to Nintendo Switch, we will still be able to keep the stuff that we have.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. About the only thing that doesn't transfer over, because Sony, they take their ball and go play in their own little sandbox, is if you buy credit or currency on another platform, that doesn't appear on your PlayStation account. Everything else does. If you earn stuff on iOS or on PC, like skins and whatnot, that appears there, but the currency doesn't move over. I'm assuming that won't be a problem for Nintendo. It doesn't seem to be a problem for any other platform except for, of course, Sony.
Fair enough. And so I guess since we're on the topic of Fortnite, do you guys think that we're going to see motion gyro aiming in Fortnite on the Switch?
I think that's the reason it's taken so long to get it to the Switch. That's just my guess, though.
Yeah, I think they probably saw all the people that were clamoring for it for Doom, and then all the kind of fanfare that happened when it made an appearance on Doom. A lot of people like it. I personally don't, so it doesn't really matter to me. But I know a lot of people do. So good for them if that is indeed the case. That comes to the Switch version.
Yeah, that'll be the determining factor on whether or not I play it on Switch, because on the Switch, I'm sure it'll look great, but it's certainly not going to look as good as it will on the PS4. And I can't see myself playing it in handheld mode, just because I don't think that the controller, the Joy-Cons, I don't think they lend themselves to first-person shooters very well. I definitely prefer the Pro controller for that. And if it doesn't have motion aiming, then I'm like, well, I'll probably just stick with the PS4 or the PC. So we got that out of the way. Are there any other huge leaks that you guys want to try and plug up before we move on to actual predictions?
I mean, the list was pretty good. Like, it's all kind of like, oh yeah, that's cool. Like Dragon Ball FighterZ, yeah, that's cool. I've been meaning to play that one, but if I can pick it up on the Switch, that'll be cool. None of the other ones were sort of like megaton bombs going off. I think all the Nintendo-y kind of leaks, if Nintendo's going to announce anything new, that's sort of not happened. So I'm hopeful that we'll get some Nintendo stuff there. But all the leaks that have come out prior to E3 for the things that from other companies that are appearing on the Switch are all kind of awesome. Fortnite for me being the biggest one, because my kids I think they're playing that right now. So it's a big favorite game in this house.
Yeah, my son's downstairs playing it too. Josh?
Overcooked 2 was probably one of the most played games on the couch in my living room with my family. And so, I'm sorry, the first one was. So seeing Overcooked 2 was actually kind of cool. I mean, I'm looking forward to that.
Awesome. All right, so what I asked these guys to do is to bring one or at least one prediction, and then we'll get to the dreams and the no ways later. Josh, we'll start with you. What is your biggest prediction for Nintendo E3 this year?
Oh man, my biggest prediction, I would say, is it's got to be Animal Crossing. I don't think it's going to come out this year, but I think we're going to at very least get the Metroid Prime 4 teaser that we got last year for Animal Crossing. I'm
imagining like the flying through space and then the stars come together to form the leaf and everybody's like, oh my god.
Animal Crossing in space.
Animal Crossing in space. Yeah, we might be onto something there.
You heard it here first, folks.
I don't think that we're getting Animal Crossing this year. I don't think we're getting that at all. And they kind of said that they're going to be focusing this year at E3 on stuff that's coming out this year. So if they do an announcement for that, I disagree. I think I do think that we would just get like a title card, like Josh is saying, but I don't think it's happening this year. I think it's because the mobile version is doing so well. What do you think about that, Lloyd?
Yeah, I have to agree with you. As much as I'd want one, I think that's going to be their big, like January, February announcement for 2019 to keep the hype going after the holiday season. I don't think they're ready to announce that, but I didn't think that they would announce Metroid that far back, because that's kind of not a Nintendo thing to do. So who knows? Maybe that's kind of the new thing where they announce a game that's coming out in 3 weeks, and a game that's coming out in 3 months, a game that's coming out in 6 months, and then a game that's coming out next year, like they did last year. So maybe we will get that. I want it. I'm a huge Animal Crossing fan, although I have kicked my Animal Crossing Pocket Camp addiction. Finally, I've deleted that from my phone since playing it since launch. But getting a full blown Animal Crossing on my Switch would be a very, very good thing.
I feel like I don't think that the Metroid thing is very indicative of something that we can expect to happen in the future. I feel like the only reason that they announced Metroid Prime 4 last year was because they were announcing what the hell is the name of the 3DS game? Samus Returns? Yeah. Because they were announcing Samus Returns, and if they announced that and then they didn't tell everybody, look, we're also working on something for Switch, it's going to be okay, calm down, then they would have gotten a lot of bad feedback from people. At least I think so. So we got Josh's biggest out of the way, Animal Crossing. I also am a fan of Animal Crossing. Lloyd, what's your biggest, or the one that you really think is going to happen?
Okay, well, this is tough. I think my biggest prediction is Smash Brothers will be at E3. Oh wait, no, that's we know it's gonna be. I think that since Smash Brothers was huge for many reasons on the Wii U and the 3DS, the biggest was that it was a vehicle for Nintendo to sell many little plastic figures like this one. Well, I guess that's not a Smash Brothers one. This is a Smash Brothers one.
Mm-hmm.
So my big prediction is that Smash Brothers will be at E3. We're going to get a lot of it being shown at their Direct. And Nintendo's going to announce Series 2 of the Smash Brothers Amiibo. But it's going to be done different this time because Toys to Life is completely dead. There's no Toys to Life aisle in pretty much any store anymore. And if it is, it's a barren wasteland or filled with a million Animal Crossing Amiibo. So I think what we're going to get is every new fighter that has never appeared in an earlier version of Smash that had an Amiibo, we're going to get full Amiibos for those. So we're going to get full statues for Amiibos that we don't already have. But what Nintendo's going to also come out and do is they're going to re-release Smash Brothers Amiibo cards, which will give you every Amiibo that appeared in Smash Brothers 1. You'll be able to collect them as cards similar to the Animal Crossing cards, and people will be able to then go back and fill their collection if they want to bring, I don't know, a Corrin, or if they want to bring a Wii Fit girl or Wii Fit trainer into this new version of Smash Brothers as a battle buddy. You'll be able to do it, but a lot cheaper because you'll be able to go buy a $5 pack of cards and hopefully fill your setup that way. I think Nintendo realizes that they can't ask the Walmarts and everything to stock all these Amiibos on pegs that just don't sell. But a pack of cards, I mean, if you walk down a Walmart toy aisle, they usually have a section that is just like hockey cards and wrestling cards and baseball cards and Pokemon cards and Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Adding a peg of Animal Crossing cards there would probably be not too much of a bother for them.
What do you think about that, Josh?
Oh boy, me and Amiibo.
If you guys don't know, Josh is a huge collector. Like, he loves to collect stuff. So, like, as soon as Lloyd said that, I saw Josh. I can't help if he looked happy or sad.
I think his left leg lifted off the chair because his wallet was trying to fly up into his hand so he could spend the money.
Yeah, it was they were like, Amiibo? Pre-order? What? We got to get what? No, I mean, the card idea is great. I mean, it's Nintendo's roots, right? With the whole card thing. I personally don't love the way they do the cards where you end up getting doubles all the time. So it's like that can be a little bit frustrating. I would almost prefer like here's this hero pack and here's this hero pack, so you can just buy the ones that you want, or but it's also good business. I'm not, it's good business for them to sell as many packs as possible. So I think it's a cool idea. I definitely do. And I kind of like it better than, like, what if they release an entire new line of Smash Bros. Amiibo for this new game, and they're all different poses and everything, like
they're all player 2 for every other Smash player. It's all player 2 Amiibos coming out.
Yeah, oh my gosh, yeah, it would be out of control. But even retail, where did these things go? All the Amiibo kiosks are gone. Labo replaced them. if I want to go into Best Buy right now and look for Amiibo, they're like they're kind of hidden back with the DS stuff, you know. But what's crazy, yesterday I saw Falco, I saw the Samus that you just held up. Like they have some all of the Odyssey stuff is back. So it's kind of interesting that we are finally seeing some more Amiibo back in on store shelves. But yeah, it's like you said, the whole trend with toys to life, it's kind of died.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to kind of piggyback on Lloyd's prediction and something that I've been waiting to see from Nintendo for a really long time. Well, not necessarily Nintendo, but more the Pokemon company. And that I think that we're going to start having the actual physical Pokemon cards have Amiibo chips in them, because we've got new Pokemon coming to the Switch at the end of the year. That's been confirmed, the Let's Go version. We've got a core RPG, according to the president of the Pokemon company, coming to the Switch next year and at the end of 2019. And those two things built together with the fact that the Switch has Amiibo functionality built in, it just seems like it just seems silly for them to not have Amiibo chips in the little cards, because it's super cheap to do that. And I've been told that I'm louder than you guys, so I'm going to increase the volume of you guys, and we'll see if that fixes things. Well, what do you guys think about that, Lloyd?
Yeah, I definitely think that's going to come at some point. I mean, I have Pokemon cards from way back in the day that have the little e-reader swipes on them for the old e-reader, so you could put mini games into your I don't know, Game Boy Advance, I think it was. Yep. Bringing that back to Pokemon cards totally makes sense. The only issue with that is it would have to be a new way of doing their Pokemon cards, I guess, just because they're already they're fairly affordable, I guess. You get like 15 cards for $3 or whatever. Each of those little NFC stickers, they cost a little bit of money. I'm sure if you're buying in bulk like Nintendo would, it would still cost them like more than a few pennies each. And then the process to add them inside the cards would maybe cost a little bit more, of course. So I don't know, maybe this is like a new series. Maybe it's a new, easy to pick up and play Pokemon card game to kind of offshoot from what they're already doing, just to make the cards a little bit different, look a little different, and then maybe introduce people into the Pokemon card game that way.
Josh?
Yeah, I mean, Nintendo loves making money, right? And Pokemon cards with Amiibo, I mean, it's just because you do that on top of the cards they already put out, so now they're double dipping on Pokemon cards. I mean,
it's like, I just got this rare whatever, but I don't have the Amiibo version, so I'm going to go hunt that down as well.
Yeah,
that sounds very Nintendo to me. I don't know about you guys, but that sounds like something Nintendo would love to say out loud at a shareholders meeting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You guys think it'll happen next week, though, or on Tuesday? You think they'll announce that on Tuesday?
There's a chance. There's a chance. I mean, anything's possible. And Pokemon is just on fire right now. It's absolutely on fire. Like Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee are probably going to be quite possibly combined the biggest sellers on the Switch to date. Totally. That's my guess.
They're going after the 800 million people that have downloaded Pokemon Go on their phones and saying, hey, buy this console and buy this game to get more Pokemon Go fun. This game could sell just ridiculous numbers for Nintendo.
All right. Do you guys want to do another, like a second prediction before we move on to our dream predictions?
Sure.
All right. Lloyd, why don't you start us off? What's your second prediction, something that you think will happen?
Okay, well, I think we're going to get rumblings, either an announcement or a logo for a new 2D Super Mario game. I'm going to call it New Super Mario Brothers Classic, just so I know what I'm talking about when I put it on stuff. And it's going to be different than all the other New Super Mario Brothers. It's not going to be like New Super Mario Brothers U or the ones on the DS. It's going to be styled like the 2D sections from Mario Odyssey. So the whole game is going to revolve around like weird things, walking on surfaces, doing loop-de-loops, all the weird things that you got to do in Odyssey, but it's going to be done as a 2D Mario. and it's going to be a budget title similar to like Captain Toad's, where it's not going to be a full $80 game up here in Canada, $60 game in the US, new Super Mario Brothers game, as kind of a way to bridge the gap between Super Mario Odyssey and Super Mario Brothers Odyssey 2. It'll be kind of like the little filler to bring you from the one game to the other.
Fair enough. What do you think about that, Josh?
I'm in the same boat. I'm either thinking it's going to be we're going to see a 2D Mario, like whether it be, the deluxe version of the Wii U game, or possibly a Mario Maker 2 announcement. One way or another, I think we're going to be seeing a 2D Mario, and part of that is based on the fact that there is a little bit of a history to Pokemon games and 2D Mario games coming out at the same time. So, it might be the case yet again.
Yeah, if I had to choose between what you're saying, Lloyd, and Mario Maker, oh man, I don't know what I would choose, because I love the handcrafted stuff that comes from Nintendo, but I also like the idea of infinite Mario, where I can just always get a brand new level. Which one would you pick if you had to choose between these handcrafted levels by Nintendo that are done kind of like the pixel sections in Mario Odyssey, or Mario Maker? Which one would you want, Lloyd?
Personally, I'd love the one that's stylized like the Mario Odyssey thing. I love Mario Maker. It's actually one of the Wii U games that I kept around after my big Wii U purge of 2018. I still play it. My kids still play it. I think it's the only Wii U game I played in a while. So that exists, and that's cool. And then maybe we can get a version for next year that then allows you to do kind of like the loop-to-loop sections, the curves, all the other weird stuff that you were doing in Mario Odyssey's 2D sections. Maybe that'll come next year, along with the Mario Odyssey 2. Josh?
So here's, this is going to bleed over into Dream a little bit, but if it is a deluxe version of Super Mario Bros. U, I would like to have the full game, the Luigi expansion, and then have them include a Peach expansion, but also put her into the Wii U game, so that you could literally have the original cast from Super Mario Brothers 2
all playing
together in Super Mario Bros. U, the new Super Mario Bros. U. So that would be the ideal game for me, because to me, the new Super Mario Bros. U was the closest to a direct sequel to Super Mario World of any of the other 2D Mario games that have been released. It just, the overworld, the style and feel of it felt the most like Super Mario World, and I really, that was part of the reason I enjoyed playing that game so much.
I'm going to kind of piggyback on what Lloyd said for my prediction, and that I'm predicting that we're going to get a new Zelda game this year, and it's going to be a top-down 2D Zelda game. So kind of like a continuation, not necessarily a sequel, but a continuation of, what was the latest one on 3DS? I loved it. It was so good.
Link Between Worlds.
Link Between Worlds. There you go. The one where you turn into a painting. I would love to see not a remake of that, but another game of that style. I think it would be fantastic. Josh, is that something that you would want to pick up, or are you done with top-down Zeldas?
I don't think I'll ever be done with top-down Zeldas. So if there was a Link Between Worlds 2, sign me up. I'm ready to go. We already saw, what was that? It was it wasn't Four Swords, but we did kind of see a sequel to it, right? That was that 4-player Zelda game.
It was 3-player, yeah. I bought it, and it was a pain to try and play with anybody online, and my wife didn't want to play, and then you couldn't play the game very well with just 2 people, so my son and I couldn't really play it together, and I ended up just saying, well, here, you can have it and try and figure it out for yourself if you want, to my son. But I was really disappointed in that game, even though it had serious potential. Again, Nintendo got in its own way with online.
I believe one of the real early leaks. It was obviously phony. The one that said like Yoshi's Flipping Island was the name of the Yoshi game coming out. It had on there a remake of Link's Awakening. So even if we saw, because it's like the 20th anniversary of that game this year or something like that. So even if we saw one of those older games with the assets from A Link Between Worlds, I would be cool with that too.
That would be really good.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Especially because I've never played. Have you guys played Link's Awakening?
I started it last summer on the lime green Game Boy Color, like I have the DX version. And so while on vacation out on the deck, that was my deck game for that vacation. So it was a lot of fun.
I assumed Lloyd just turned around to reach for.
I did. It's not there.
Oh, there.
I have it. It's not there. It must be behind. Yeah. I've played. I think the only Zelda that I haven't played is Skyward Sword, and there's a huge story about why that never happened. And I told on my podcast, I won't reiterate, but that's the only one that I haven't played. I'm a huge Zelda fan. One of my favorite game franchises of all time. Remakes, redone versions, new versions. Just give me 18 new Zelda games a year, and I'd be happy. I just love that franchise.
I really like the idea of a remake of Link's Awakening because I've never played it. So that is definitely appealing to me. Josh, I don't think we got your second prediction because we were talking about Lloyd's. So what's your second prediction?
Okay. So I'm going to go third party for this prediction. Okay. And it's a handful of games, but I wouldn't be surprised if we saw possibly the BioShock collection.
Ooh.
If we would possibly Borderlands.
Ooh.
Possibly Assassin's Creed. And then this one bleeds over into some Dream territory, but an Orange Box 2.0.
Oh, man.
Has Portal 1 and 2, has Half-Life 1 and 2, Left 4 Dead 1 and 2, the Team Fortress games. I think Orange Box would be a great game to have on the Switch.
Definitely. There's a lot of people that I have talked to who have never played the Half-Life, Half-Life 2 or the episodic stuff that came afterwards. And every time I find out that somebody's missed that, I'm like, oh my God, you have to play this because it's so amazing. But I get most of them are console people, and it's not on any modern consoles. So, like, they just can't without going out and buying a PC or a retro console. So, Orange Box would, like, as far as like when I had that on my Xbox 360, the amount of time that I got out of the whatever $60 I think it was that I paid for that game was probably the most game per dollar that I've ever spent in my life, probably, because man, that was a great combination. I've never heard anybody mention Orange Box 2, so that's a wonderful prediction, Josh. It's never going to happen.
I know. Steam, why do they have to make so much money?
Yeah. Oh man. All right. Let's jump into dreams. What is a dream release that would that you guys would absolutely just go bananas if Nintendo announces it? Lloyd, we'll go ahead and start with you.
I think Nintendo, if they want to make me really happy, they're going to announce this. I have my doubts it would happen at E3. If it does happen, it will happen a little bit later. And that is the N64 Classic Mini. It's going to be the little mini console for the N64. It's going to come with 2 of the awesome N64 controllers that connect to Wiimotes and the console. And it's going to have these games on it. I went through and I put my thoughts for the games that are going to be on it. So Super Mario 64, Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask, F-Zero, Mario Kart 64, Wave Race 64, Donkey Kong 64, Yoshi's Story, Star Fox 64, Paper Mario, Super Smash Bros, 1080-degree snowboarding, Pilot Wing 64, which are all Nintendo games. We're going to get a couple rare games on it with Killer Instinct and Perfect Dark. Those are the easy ones because they don't have the Bond license associated with them. And then similar to what they did with the Super Nintendo, where they're like, here's Star Fox 2 for the first time ever. We're going to get 4 64 DD games. So the disc drive that was canceled before it came to North America. And the 4 games that would bring out to North America will be F-Zero X expansion kit. So this was a really cool DD game in Japan, where if you put F-Zero X in your N64 and this expansion kit in the DD, it gave you 2 extra cups, but it also gave you a vehicle editor and a track editor. So you could actually make your own F-Zero tracks. And I watched so much video of that, and that I wanted that more than almost anything because I'm a huge F-Zero fan from way back. We'll also get, if this happens, the Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time expansion, which came out here in North America as the Master Quest, which you could get on the GameCube. This is one of those special GameCube discs that you got for pre-ordering. So we already got this, but I think if they included it with the N64 DD release, that would be cool. A game that I always wanted that only ever came out in Japan, it never even got a regular 64 release up here in North America, was SimCity 64. Basically, it was similar to SimCity 2000, but it also blended like Sim Police and Sim Copter with it. So you could fly around your cities, you could walk around your cities as a little pedestrian, and you could also drive around your cities. And you could even play hide and seek with your friends, which was a really cool way to sort of gamify SimCity again. And then last but not least, Doshin the Giants, which is a game that I read about so much in like EGM and stuff like that. It was Nintendo's take on the God game genre. So you're this little creature and you could basically control your world and stuff like that. Did really well in Japan. Was one of the games that was supposed to come at launch for the N64 for the 64 DD when it was supposed to launch here in North America. Obviously never came out. All those games except SimCity 64 were set to come out for the launch. So we know that the translation has already been done. All the localization is there. And really, how much localization do you need to do for SimCity? Provided they can actually get Maxis, which I think is owned by EA now. So they'd have to get some EA mojo to get this on the system. But if they could do something like that, I would be such a happy little boy. And I'm not a little boy anymore, but the little boy in me would be super happy because I wanted the N64 DD so bad. I thought it would be the perfect way to have your games have a mode where you can edit them, because so many of the games are coming with like level editors and things like that. So if we get our first taste of 64 DD that way, that would be fantastic.
That's a really cool idea. Another reason why I think it's important that we get an N64. Honestly, I feel like the N64 Mini is more important to me, and I would assume to most, than the NES Classic and the Super Nintendo Classic, because those emulate really well. A lot of, you can find emulators and you can find those games and they run really well on just about everything. But N64 emulation is kind of garbage right now, and it would be really nice if Nintendo put that out and then we could play these old games. Because, you know, I have a RetroPie sitting at my desk, and I have some N64 games on there. They just don't run very well, and it would be nice if we got the official treatment. Josh, the collector in you, again, you really have no choice but to buy this when it comes out. Your name is N64 Josh, so what do you think?
Yeah, just the only thing I request is that they do all of the clear plastic colors they released early on as well, so we can just the icing on the cake, you know.
Josh will have to buy 7 of these, or however many colors there were. Josh is going to be buying a lot of them.
I'll just have boxes in my office, just be full. But I'm all about it. Like I'm definitely about it. The only thing I hope they can figure out is possibly getting some of the wrestling games on that system, and maybe 1 or 2 of the Turok games, you know, because those were also pretty good. So
I loved Turok 1. I never played Turok 2, but Turok 1, I was a huge fan of that game.
Yeah, 2 was like the death match in 2 was so fun with the cerebral bore. It was literally a gun that would target your enemy, drill into their head, and spew brain matter all over the place. Nice. While they just shook violently. So it was nothing but laughs all the time playing that game.
You know, when Lloyd was talking about all of the games that like his choices, it struck me, and I don't know that I ever really thought about this before, but you know how in the Super Nintendo era, everything was super whatever. In the N64, it was whatever 64. And then on the DS, it was whatever. And then they would try and shoehorn the D and the S in there. And then it was the same on the Wii. And they did the U at the end of everything on the Wii U. And they didn't do that for the Switch. And it never occurred to me until just now that they never did that. And I wonder, what do you guys think about that decision? I know it's not really E3 related, but I'm curious. Josh?
I was actually writing an article. I don't have it posted yet, but Armada, who is one of the Smash Bros players, posted a picture of all the swag that Nintendo sent him that had the Smash Bros logo on it. And the same logo that we saw from the teaser. So I am under the assumption now that they're going to just call the game Super Smash Bros. Not Super Smash Bros. 5, not Super Smash Bros. Switch. And so unless they're going to release a different logo and the swag they just gave him was just a very, very small run, So it is kind of, they have kind of abandoned that, where they're just calling the games what they are, and that's that. But I mean, if we saw a little bit of it on the Wii, Super Mario Galaxy, right? So same with Mario Odyssey. So who knows if we do just get a brand new 2D, if it's the new Super Mario Bros. Switch. I mean, it could still happen, but
yeah. Lloyd?
The closest we had was the maybe DX. The first few games were like DX, and I was like, oh, okay, that's the new moniker for all these games that are being ported over, and then they dropped that. So yeah, we really don't have anything like that on the Switch. We had like F-Zero Advance and New Super Mario Bros. Advance on the Game Boy Advance and N64 and Wii U and all that stuff. Wii even, and yeah, they're not doing that on the Switch, which is pretty interesting. And maybe they're doing like what Josh said. If they are just going to call Super Smash Brothers, maybe we're getting to not really games as a service, but not really putting numbers on everything. You know that if you're playing Smash on the Wii U, you're playing Smash on the Wii U. If you're playing Smash on the Switch, it's the Switch version. They don't really have to put numbers or anything on it, because we really don't get multiple versions of that on the same console generation. It's usually one per console generation.
Yeah. Josh, what's your dream?
My dream prediction. So this is my dream prediction is, again, I'm a shooter fan, is I want to see Nintendo come out with a mature shooter that just blows us away. Something that's maybe something that could even set a trend like Battle Royale has done right now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what that is, but that would definitely be my dream prediction. Is just, I want to get back to like I said earlier, I want to get back to having shooters on the Nintendo console like I did back on the 64. Like those are some of my best memories is playing. And so something like that would be awesome. I don't know. What do you guys think? I mean, Metroid Prime 4 has the potential to be like a Halo, I guess, but I would love to just see something just totally off the wall. That's just like, whoa, Nintendo's putting this out. I'm not talking about like super bloody and gory and that kind of stuff, but just something that's a real high caliber. Like, what could Nintendo do with a more mature title? Like, what kind of creative spin could they put onto it? Like Rare did with Perfect Dark, something along those lines. I would love to see. Man, I would just love to see Microsoft go, hey, we haven't been able to do anything with Perfect Dark. Nintendo, here you go. Go ahead and give it to Retro or whatever.
Lloyd, what do you think?
Yeah, as much as I'd love that, because some of my best memories are sitting around making stupid cardboard contraptions for my TV so no one can screen look when you're playing GoldenEye with each other, right? I have so many great memories of just hanging out with my buddies doing that. I'd love something like that on Nintendo, but it seems like that ship has sailed. Like everybody does the online shooter, and for me, the fun of the shooter wasn't that it was a Nintendo game, but it was the fact that you had everybody sitting in your basement, like yelling at each other and trying to knock the controllers out of your hands when you get a headshot or whatever. I don't know what Nintendo could do. They brought a Splatoon, which is Nintendo's take on a shooter, asking for two golden nuggets like that. I think it might be asking a little much, although Nintendo is great when they make a game. So who knows, right? Yeah, I don't know. I would love to see it. I don't know what they could do.
Well, okay, go ahead, Josh. My
feeling is if as long as the economy's doing well, and then Nintendo's obviously doing well, really, who knows? We may see games like F-Zero, things like that. We may see some of these off the wall. I mean, look at Sushi Striker, right? I mean, you don't get any more off the wall than that.
The game is bananas.
So you never really know. The one thing, and again, this is a topic that people love to hate, whatever. But like you were saying, Lloyd, about that couch experience of playing multiplayer. I like to do that. Like we recently just jumped into Halo. Everybody jumped into a party chat. So whether you were on the same team or the opposing team, everybody could hear each other. So we try to simulate that couch experience, and it's still a blast because everybody is like, "Oh, I can't believe you sniped me," blah, blah, blah. So I long for those experiences again as well. It's harder to have done on the Nintendo system. I realize that, but since we get to have the dream prediction, I'm saying I want a shooter from Nintendo.
Fair enough. Speaking of shooters, and you brought up Metroid, do you guys think that when Metroid Prime 4 comes out that they are going to stick with the lock-on mechanic that they have had in the past that made it feel a lot less like a first-person shooter and more like an adventure game? Or do you think that they're going to give us the full twin stick experience that we get from most other first-person style games? Lloyd?
That's a really good question. It seems with like the release of the logo and the build up to it, and just how long it's been, that they are really trying to rethink what Metroid should be. And if that is kind of their thought process, I think it is going to be like a full dual stick exploration shooter without the lock-on mechanic, which was great for a lot of games because you had limited controls. But on the Switch now, we have two sticks, we have motion controls, there's buttons everywhere. I don't think we're limited by like the Wiimote nunchuck simulated dual stick thing, or like the N64 with one analog stick. We've moved a little bit further than that, or the GameCube even with the little nubby second stick. I think they can do like a full-on shooter now, and they're not limited by controls.
Josh?
I think we're going to see them run the gambit with this thing. I think we're going to have twin stick controls. I think we're going to have motion controls like Splatoon. I think we're going to have the possibility of similar controls to the way the Wii U or the way the Wii controlled with Metroid, right? Because that was just, you basically pointed the Wii remote at the screen. I didn't like that. That wasn't really for me. But I see a Nintendo right now that gives a lot of options when it comes to controlling their games, which they had to learn that kind of the hard way when it comes. I mean, the DS, remember some of the games they would make us play Zelda with the stylus? It was,
oh my God. Although those games are good, but yeah, I agree.
Games, but it was frustrating to play with just the stylus. It seems like now it's like, hey, how do you want? I mean, look at tennis coming out, right? You could play with your Pro controller. You could play motion control. You could play handheld, whatever. Like it just seems like there's so many options, and so I hope that is the case. At very least, I don't think we will see the you may be able to lock on, but even Metroid Prime Federation Force, which I know nobody loves, even though it was actually a really decent game.
It's a good game.
You could play it like a regular first-person shooter. Mm-hmm. You could, if you had the new 3DS or new 2DS, your second stick became how you looked around, and then you could still lock on if you were trying to hit a particular enemy, but you didn't have to. It was like more of an option, So I think the potential's there that we may still see that, but it won't be it won't be quite. I mean, it was pretty hard to hit anything in the GameCube version because you couldn't really even move or look around with the C stick unless you were locked on. So or stopped, you know.
Yeah. My dream prediction is kind of weird. I've been playing a lot of Hyrule Warriors on Switch lately, and I love that game. And I can't remember where I saw it on Twitter. Somebody had tweeted something at Mr. Soliani, the guy who did Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle, and I thought, wouldn't it be cool if we got a Hyrule Kingdom Battle where it's the same mechanics that are in Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle, but featuring the characters from Hyrule and none of the Rabbids. Not that the Rabbids are bad, but I just don't think it would fit with the Zelda theme as much. And that's a dream for me, because even though I really like the mechanics of Hyrule Kingdom Battle, it didn't suck me in so that I kept playing over and over. And I think the Zelda fanboy in me would grab onto that and hold on until the end, whereas I didn't do so with the Mario plus Rabbids. Josh, what do you think about that?
So just so I want to make sure I'm understanding. You want to see a XCOM style game with the Zelda universe? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Yeah. Wow. I never even thought about anything like that, but it could be pretty fun, especially with all the different, like, going through all of Link's weapons throughout all the different games. Like, there could be such a huge variety, plus the characters, everything. I think it would be fun.
Lloyd?
Yeah, I'm a huge Zelda fan. More Zelda would be fantastic. A turn-based XCOM style game with Zelda weapons, throwing bombs and using the hook shot and bow and arrow and boomerang and all that crazy stuff. Yep, that would be amazing. But more so than that is just the thought that Nintendo would continue to give their IP to other game companies to work with. Like, I love that. Like, when they announced Mario, or when you first heard the leaks of Mario plus Rabbids, I was just like, no, that's never going to happen. Nintendo's never going to give that up. Mario, from another company, unless it's like Square Enix working on Mario RPG, it's never going to happen. And then it came out, and I'm like, that's not going to work. And then I played it, and it was like one of my favorite games of that year. So if they give it to the right company, more games in the Zelda universe, not done by Nintendo, could be a really, really good thing. Not every Zelda game has to be an RPG. And yeah, playing an XCOM version of it, sign me up. I'll buy 3 copies right now if it's up for pre-order. That would just be such a fantastic game.
I'm looking at the chat, and they're like, but there's so much melee. Mikey be playing, saying, but if you think back to the first Zelda game, when you had full hearts, your sword shot energy out of it, right? So you could still utilize that mechanic with other people's melee weapons. So it'd give you the option for ranged attacks as well as getting in close and doing melee. So it may work. What really got me thinking when you said it, as you were talking about it, was again back to the shooter thing. But the Mario plus Rabbids taking that game, those weapons, and putting it in a first-person arena, I was like, oh my god.
Man. Yeah, that would be cool. You could be Luigi running around with the vacuum cleaner sniping people.
Yes, it would be a blast.
Nintendo doing a Quake Arena style shooter like that, oh my god, that would be fantastic. There's your shooter, Josh, right there. That's the idea.
It is. Nobody has to die. They just fall over and go, oh, and then they respawn.
We're solving all of Nintendo's problems today. All right. Any other dreams that you guys want to talk about before we move on to the no way it's happening?
I think my next one is in the no way it's happening list, honestly.
But it's a dream. I mean, I think that the Hyrule Kingdom battle is never going to happen as well. Like, that's a no way, but it's also a dream. So go ahead and say what you think, Josh, and then we'll kind of segue over.
Well, we know that Factor 5 finished Rogue Squadron for the Wii, and then the company went bankrupt before it came out. So if we could somehow see a sequel to Rogue Squadron make its way, I mean, love or hate Battlefront on, from EA, the flying mechanics in that game are a blast, and I would love to see another Rogue Squadron game make its way to the Switch.
Yeah, I think that I think that the developers of that game, they were on Nintendo Voice Chat to hype up their release of an actual Super Nintendo cartridge of, I think it was Super Turrican 2, and they talked about Rogue Squadron for the Wii for a long time, and it made me really, really want to play it. Lloyd, is that something you'd pick up if it came out?
Yeah, it's Nintendo / Star Wars. That's where my two fandoms kind of come together. Yeah, I loved every Star Wars game for Nintendo, from all the way back to like the Super Star Wars games, all the way to Rogue Squadron, all the GameCube games. Playing another Star Wars game on a Nintendo platform would be fantastic, because I don't think we're going to get anything like Star Wars Battlefront ever on the Switch. Playing something that's more of a flight sim would be great as well. Like a space dogfight simulator would be fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
I would love it if they would bring the old X-Wing and TIE Fighter games to the Switch, because I put, when I was a kid, I had those on my PC, and I put a lot of hours into those. Like, I became the Emperor's hand. You got the cool tattoo on your hand as you were going. It was really cool. Love that game. And I would love to play a new version of that with updated controls, because I don't know about you guys, but I don't keep a flight joystick on my desk anymore, like I did back when I was a kid. And that was the only controller I had for my PC, was a joystick. So I would love that, but with EA having exclusive license for Star Wars games, it's never going to happen. And speaking of never going to happen, Lloyd, what are some things that you think people are asking for or predicting that is never going to happen at E3 this year anyway?
Well, unlike Josh, I think what is never going to happen is we're never going to get a big shooter release on the Switch. I don't think we're ever going to get a Call of Duty. We're ever going to get a Battlefront. We're ever going to get any of those. For some reason, I don't think those companies are going to develop one of those games for the Switch, which sucks. But I know they tried it with the Wii, and they gave us terrible games, and like, see, look, shooters don't sell on Nintendo platforms because they gave terrible games. Of course they don't sell. I think no way in hell will that happen at E3, where we'll get a big announcement for a Call of Duty or a Battlefront or a Battlefield. I just don't think that'll happen, which sucks. I would really love to play those games on my Switch.
What do you think, Josh? You think he's right?
Potentially, yeah. As far as like major titles that are already there, as far, Call of Duty, that kind of stuff. And to be perfectly honest, as much of a shooter fan as I am, I wouldn't want to see a port of those games. I would rather see, look, Doom on the Switch is fun. It's fast paced. It has multiplayer, but it doesn't look as good as the other consoles or the PC, right? There's just no way it can. Mm-hmm. And so personally, I'm right there with you. Don't give us like the ports of those games. If they're going to do any kind of a shooter, make something specifically for the Switch. Now, will we see that happen this year? Not a chance. If the Switch has 50 million units in the wild within the next 2 years, then all bets are off on whatever we see. I mean, I think it's going to be like when it was with the Wii, where every company is going to want to be putting something on that thing, So it would depend on the long-term success of the Switch, I think, to what we might see.
Yeah, I tend to agree with Josh. I don't think that, and Lloyd, obviously, I don't think we're going to see the games from companies like EA bringing their bread and butter games. And I also don't think they have the foresight to make something specifically for the Switch. They've been burned by Nintendo consoles too many times in the past, which is too bad, because like the Nintendo seems to have completely nailed it this time around, and the AAA developers, some of them are just like, no, we're not doing it. We're not gonna join in on the fun over there. And Josh, his comment with 50,000 or 50 million, I think I read somewhere that the Switch is already at 18 million.
Mm-hmm.
and they were saying that they were going to sell 20 by the end of the year, and they're already at 18. That's
before Pokemon.
That's crazy, and that's before Pokemon. So, like, I don't know how much more Nintendo needs to sell before these companies say, "Oh, looks like they got a hit on their hands." But at the same time, you know, to play devil's advocate, or actually, this is probably where I fall more on this, is that it just takes so long to develop the games, and all of these companies, they said, we're going to hold off on Nintendo. We're not going to bother with the new Nintendo console, expecting it to flop like the Wii. Well, I'm sorry, not the Wii, like the Wii U did. And they were caught with their pants down. And what else can they do, I guess? So, I don't know. Josh, what's your never going to happen? What do you think, man?
Never gonna happen. Which this doesn't affect me all that much because I'm not a huge fan of the series. But I don't think we're ever gonna see any kind of, at least this year, any kind of Final Fantasy coming to the Switch.
Not even like Final Fantasy VI, like a collection, kind of like we got Mega Man collection. Square just said we've got an entire division working on games for Nintendo Switch. You don't think we'll get like a Final Fantasy collection either?
I mean, possibly, right? Possibly. I don't know. Again, I'm not a huge fan of the series. So, and I'll be perfectly honest. I'm trying to rack my brain as to what I really think wouldn't be coming out. That's just kind of where my head landed is with Final Fantasy. So I had either didn't know or had forgotten about the collection that you're talking about, or the games that the announcements they had made.
What do you think,
I'm
Lloyd?
Still gonna stick with it.
I think we will get more RPGs from Square for sure. But yeah, Final Fantasy, I don't know. Like they were talking about Final Fantasy 15 forever, and it came off the mobile port with like characters that look like Final Fantasy 7 characters, and the original or the I guess the speculation at that time was that was definitely coming to the Switch. So we could get that announcement at this E3, but I mean, Final Fantasy 15's been out for such a long time already. That's gonna be the case of another game that arrives on the Switch a year plus after, and they charge full price for it, and then the internet complains, and then they buy it anyway. So I think we could definitely get a release like that. As far as a new Final Fantasy game, I just don't think that'll ever happen. I don't think that's the way that they're making Final Fantasy games anymore, which is why the Octopath, Project Octopath, and I'm Setsuna and all those other games, those developers are doing things a little different way. They're stepping away from the 500-pound gorilla or 800-pound gorilla of Final Fantasy and still making RPGs, but with a different name on them.
Yeah. My no way is that it's ever going to happen, even though I would really love it to happen, is Blizzard. I think that Blizzard has looked at the Switch and they said, it's just too much work for us to port Overwatch over there. And they just announced that they are officially making a new Diablo game. And what we saw last time was obviously it comes to the PC first and then consoles much later. And I don't think that where we might get whatever the new Diablo game, when it comes to consoles, it might come to Switch, but I don't think we're going to get Overwatch, and I don't think we're going to get Diablo 3 on the Switch, even though I would buy both of them.
Day one.
Yeah, day one. Those are fantastic games, and especially Diablo 3 is amazing on console. Like it really surprised me how fantastic that game is with a controller in your hand instead of a mouse and keyboard. We're not going to get Heroes of the Storm because that's not on any consoles. Although I think Blizzard would make money hand over fist if they ported those games. And the most obvious game for the Switch is Hearthstone. It's got a touch screen. It's perfect for that. And Blizzard has yet to port that over. And that, I honestly don't think it would be too difficult. They already have it running on every phone imaginable. So I think that Blizzard has said, nope, never going to happen. What do you think, Lloyd?
I agree with you. All the rumors that Diablo was coming to the Switch made so much sense. Portable Diablo would be great. I picked up Diablo 3 at launch, and I battled with the stupid auction house. All the equipment becoming more expensive, faster than I could level myself to get there myself. All that stuff, and then when they rebooted it, I bought the console version. And loved it. I played it on the PS3. I rebought it on the PS4. That's probably the game that I've played the most with my wife. For I don't know, for as long as I can remember. Like we every once in a while it'd be like Diablo night, and we'll sit there for a couple hours and just like smack zombies around and level up and things like that. Doing that on the Switch would be fantastic. If any Blizzard game comes, I think that would be the one, just because it makes the most sense. But yeah, Overwatch. No way. As much as I'd love to see it, I don't think that's going to happen. Hearthstone, no. It would totally make sense on the Switch, but I just don't think they really want to develop for that console, which kind of hurts me because that's another game manufacturer that I love. So yeah, maybe on Diablo, but definitely not on anything else.
Josh?
Yeah, it's so weird that tweet that went out with the Diablo on the Switch, like the light switch and all that stuff. Like, it was just kind of, looking back, it was kind of strange. It looked like they were hinting at something, but they've mentioned Hearthstone having no desire to put on the Switch, which again, like you said, so strange. It would be such a good fit. With Paladins coming and running at 60 frames a second, it essentially looks like Overwatch on the system, so I would play Overwatch over Paladins just because I like the characters. I like the way that game plays everything, but yeah, you're probably right. And I've actually never played Diablo when the whole rumors were that it was coming to the Switch. I've been listening to Blood, Sweat, and Pixels and hearing about the development of that game and the auction house and the way they turn things around. Like, I was like, oh, I want to try this, and the Switch would be the place to do it. And it's not looking like it'll be the case.
Well, I'll tell you this, Josh. If I'm wrong, and not Jeff Kaplan, because he's in charge of just Overwatch. If one of the head guys over at Blizzard walks onto the stage with Shiggy and they're like, and Diablo 3 is coming to the Switch, then buy it there. But if that doesn't happen, if I'm right and that doesn't happen, then you absolutely need to pick it up on whatever console you have available, because it's really fun. Really, really fun, and you'll have a lot of fun playing it with your kids, your older kids, because it's pretty gory, but it's really good.
All right, I'll keep that in mind.
All right, so we hit our predictions, we hit our dreams, and we hit our no ways. But before we go, just a couple things. I just quick yes or no's. Are we going to see ARMS characters in Smash? Lloyd, go.
Yes, definitely.
Josh?
Absolutely.
And I think so too. And I think we'll see. Well, it'll be announced next Tuesday. Star Fox Grand Prix. Josh.
I thought so initially, but after listening to some other shows and listening to people talk about it, there's a chance that there's other shows have been predicting that we might see it at the Game Awards. They might get saved for the Game Awards, like Bayonetta was. So I don't know. I don't know on that one.
Lloyd?
Not at E3, no.
Not at E3. I think we are going to see it at E3. Here's one that I think that would... Nobody is predicting this, I don't think. An idea I had. Captain Toad in Smash. Lloyd?
Ooh, yes, that would be fantastic.
Josh?
Yes, but he can't jump.
All right, and are we gonna hear? And I don't think it's gonna happen, but I would love it if it did. And then lastly, Mario Kart Tour. Are we going to find out more information about that game at E3? Josh?
I'm going to say yes. I feel like Nintendo's really doubling down on mobile. I don't know that it'll be in the E3 presentation, the main direct, but something from the Treehouse, I wouldn't be surprised.
Lloyd?
Yeah, I think Treehouse would be the place where that'll happen. It'll be kind of like Yoshi last year, where they did like an hour on Yoshi and showing it off, where if you looked at their E3 presentation, you wouldn't even realize that this was a game that was that close to completion. Like they were playing huge sections of levels. I think that might be what they do with this one, if it has any sort of presence at E3.
All right. And I think that we will see lots of Mario Kart Tour in the same way that Lloyd is saying and that Josh is saying at the Treehouse. All right. Do either of you guys have any quick yes or no's, things that you've heard about that we can just say yes or no about? Lloyd?
I'm racking my brain. I was chatting with some friends and we had some great ideas, and I didn't write it down, and I'm too old to remember things that I don't write down, so I can't think of any off the cuff. Yeah, no, I can't. Sorry.
That's okay. Josh?
I got two. Is Smash going to be more like Melee, or more of a combination of Melee and Smash U?
Smash U.
I think it is Smash for the Wii U and combined with Smash for the 3DS.
Okay. So not so much Melee then, not getting any of the wave dashing or any of that crazy stuff back.
Nope. Nightcrawler in chat wants to know Bayonetta 3 gameplay. Are we going to see that? Yes or no?
Yes.
Josh?
Yes, I think we will.
And you heard it here first. That's all three of us say yes. We're going to see that. Thank you, Nightcrawler.
The last one. Do you guys think that we will see, from me anyway, do you guys think that we'll see any Nintendo assets in Fortnite?
Oh, that never occurred to me.
Yeah, I would have said no. But then with the Better Together update for Minecraft, apparently if you invite someone into your worlds and you're on the Nintendo platform and you're playing in that world, they'll be able to see those Mario assets. So that struck me as something I never thought Nintendo would do. So if they're doing it there, maybe that's going to happen in Fortnite.
Wait, so if you're playing the Minecraft, like let's say I'm playing Minecraft on my Xbox and you're playing on your Switch and we play together, I can see your skin for Mario.
I create a world and invite you to it. You'll be able to see the skins that I have, apparently.
And if we do cross-play with, what's the soccer card?
Rocket League.
Thank you. With Rocket League, like if you're on the Switch and I'm on the Xbox or the PC, can I see your car, or does it just? I think it just changes to some other car.
I'm not sure on that. I don't know for Rocket League. To be honest with you.
I've only played on the Switch side as the Mario Kart. I've never played with anybody on the Xbox. So
that's a good question. That might identify what Nintendo's plan going forward with that type of stuff will be a little more.
And it doesn't have to be it could be subtle. It could be Mario's hammer from Donkey Kong, right? Mm-hmm. It could be a few things that are just subtle that they could easily put in all the other consoles.
All right. Well, before we get out of here, let's tell everyone where they can find all of our stuff. So, Josh, why don't you start us off? Everything that people can find.
It's N64Josh everywhere, guys. All the social media, n64josh.com. I stream on Twitch at twitch.tv/n64josh. The Nintendo Powercast and the Smash Bros. Cast are the podcasts that you'll find on iTunes, Google Play.
Lloyd?
Yeah, I do the Nintendo Pulse podcast. It's available at rezd.tv or zd.tv if you are an American. You can find all that stuff there. I can be found on Twitter at Dasme. All my socials are all Dasme, DASME. But if you want to find out what the podcast network that I run does, it's Rez TV on Twitch, on Twitter, and all that stuff.
And that's REZ for you Canadian people, EDTV?
REZD TV.
Oh, okay. All right. And I've always wanted to ask, what is Dasme?
Dasme, it's way back in like the BBS era. I had an issue with the name that I chose, so I just started calling myself me, And then I realized that I couldn't call myself me on any other BBS or message boards back in the day. So I started Dasme, and then I put it together to Dasme, and that's where I've been for since like 94 or something. It's a name that's lived for a long time, and yeah, that's kind of what it is.
All right. And I am Bill from Switchcraft. You can find me over at runjumpstomp.com, or you can just look up Nintendo Switchcraft on any podcast application, and it's Run Jump Stomp on all of the social media as well. So thank you guys for coming on today.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was so much fun.
All right. I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.